to 10 minutes. I am not a pirate. Are you?
Yeah, from Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah, I wish. No, I have glaucoma, but thanks for bringing it up.
You do not have glaucoma.
Are you sure? I have the eye
I'm an eye
patch.
doctor.
You're not an eye doctor.
Yes, I am.
I don't have glaucoma. I do have some weird disease where there's a lot of pressure in my eye. And you know what? The pressure is on this week because Tony's going to kick us off with the 10 Minutes with Tony Scott Girls Edition. Fire away, Anthony.
And our before we get started, you got to talk about our sponsor, which is Map South Hockey.
You don't need an eye patch at Map South.
No, you don't.
I could work out so hard at Map South, my glaucoma would go away.
You need a pair of skates. You need a stick. You need equipment. And you need a lot of will. If you have that, it's a great place to go. If you got some heart, Map South will form you into a great hockey player. Talk about the facilities over there in Mendota Heights.
I love the facilities over there. It's a hockey player's dream. You get your lift in, you go right outside. There's some plastic ice where you can work on your shooting. Oh, is it time for on-ice practice now? Yep, you can just toddle on in. The best ice in the state, coldest drink at St. Thomas Ice Arena. Couldn't ask for anything better.
All right, let's get to some hockey.
Let's do it.
Some winter hockey, not summer hockey. 10A's Cabin Fever Championship over at Osseo Maple Grove, or Maple Grove Ice Arena. I should have seen this one. Edina beats Osseo Maple Grove in a shootout.
4-3.
In the 10A's. Who were the leading scorers in that tourney?
Gia Morgan from Edina had 4 goals and 11 points.
Who we saw in the Dangle Fest for
Yes.
Edina.
And Maya Dutton from Alexandria led the tournament in goals with 8.
For some reason, I feel like there's a couple Duttons. There's more than there's another Dutton.
Dutton
skater.
is one of those names that pops up on
As
seemingly
Alexandria
every
name.
roster, and over the summer they'll be on a couple of different.
Yeah, so
teams.
8 goals. Congratulations, Maya, most goals in that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
At the 12A, another exciting finish. Centennial beat Osseo Maple Grove 3-1
Tough
in
weekend for the
12A's.
Leafbirds.
Yeah. Really good tournament. Centennial now number 5. Not sure you want to be any higher than that because the top 4 teams in 12A are pretty strong.
It's a gauntlet.
It is a gauntlet. Minnetonka, Proctor Hermantown, Edina. Those are some really good teams. Orono Westaka, I think, has jumped into the 4
Might
slot.
be number 4. Yeah.
So some really good teams at 12A. That state tournament's going to be fun to watch. Speaking of tournaments, 15A, Andover, shocker. They win the Fargo tournament.
That's
they go
some
undefeated.
rink that we don't recognize.
I didn't recognize the rink there, but I think they outscored their opponents 32-0 in the tournament. So
Boy.
pretty insane weekend for that team of mostly first year 15s.
4-hour drive to not give up a goal.
The other thing is notice this group of kids that Hannah Christensen, Maya Engler, Mackenzie Jones, Courtney Little, that group. They've had several years where they've been undefeated. They're undefeated as 10s. They had only 1 loss last year at 12s, and now they're undefeated again. Do you think it gets boring for them?
Yes. Honestly, yes. And I think it'll be interesting when this group gets to high school because I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to outscore your opponents 30-0
No,
every
but
week
they
at
might.
the high school level. No, they won't.
They
At high school.
might.
It'll be not a rude awakening, but their eyes will be opened tenfold when they get to the high school level.
Not that we're in charge of Andover High School trials, but could you imagine next year that Andover doesn't lose a lot of players from their senior class, and there's 10 8th graders at least that are going to give it a shot. There's going to be some of these kids that we're talking about going to play JV next year.
You know what we call that, Tony? We call that high-class problem.
Yes, it is.
It's like having 6 5-star quarterbacks on the roster and be like, "Oh,
It's like Alabama.
I can't pick one of them."
It's like Alabama,
I'm
right?
so sorry that you have to choose.
Agreed. You were going to talk about all the great goaltending too today, weren't you? Like 9th and 10th grade, like Caitlin Gross.
8th and 9th
Yeah.
graders.
Oh,
8th and
yeah.
9th graders. So 8th graders Ava Brennan and 8th grader Cadence Roski have been putting up some incredible numbers at the high school level.
She's River Lakes, right?
Cadence Roski is. Grace Jean, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, at Hill Murray.
Unbelievable.
Great story that came out on Care 11. She is of Chinese descent. I think she's from China.
Yeah,
Like actually
pretty cool.
from China.
She picked the right spot to come to, right?
Yeah, no kidding. She got the start as a freshman, and Caitlin Gross from Centennial, another freshman goaltender, putting up sparkling numbers, which begs the question, has Minnesota become a goaltender factory for women's hockey?
No question.
No question.
No,
Okay.
there's no question about it. I mean, we have more goalies than there are spots.
That's true.
Think about all the great goaltenders. Look at Olivia King. Barely plays at the University of Minnesota, and she was one of the best high school goalies in the state.
Mm-hmm. You think about the backup goalies that are
That's
really,
what I'm
really
talking
good.
about.
Andover
Yeah.
gets to rotate between two goaltenders. Hannah Skavnek, the senior, who's committed and
Courtney
has
Stagman.
signed an NLI with Minnesota State.
Yeah.
And Courtney Stagman,
Stole, by
who's
the
a
way.
very, very good goalie. They're splitting time evenly this
Think
season.
about that, and then next year we talk about this 8th grade class. You got Layla Hemp coming in. It's like, there's no room in the inn. You know what I mean?
I will say, if you are a goaltender and you're not the starter right away, it's okay. Bide your time, make the most of your opportunities. You could sit on the bench for 3 years, get to play as a senior, and still worm your way into a scholarship.
Like the goaltender from Andover last year had a it was her only year.
Amanda
right?
Pelkey.
Yeah, she had a great year. All right, let's go to high school now.
We just did.
Well, let's go to some more high school.
All right,
big,
we'll do
big
more high
games.
school.
We'll call the Gentry win
Yeah.
over Warroad. Does that shock you as a ranker?
As a ranker, I left Warroad number 1.
This is crazy.
Based on the overall talent in the Warriors program, and I can feel the Gentry anger going,
Oh, you don't know anything.
You don't like us because we're new.
You don't like us because we're new.
That's not true. It's because Warroad has proven over the last 2 decades that they're one of the top teams in the state.
All right.
It was surprising, and especially the way they outshot the Warriors. That was also surprising.
All right, Double A. You saw Forest Lake Stillwater kick
did.
off the season. It was like 8-1.
It was 8-1.
And now 4-4. Does that
Yep.
surprise you at all?
I think it's more good on Forest Lake as opposed to Stillwater letting down. Forest Lake is not a bad team. There's still some real quality players in that lineup. Rachel Golnitz, Sammy Borboom. They have some pieces from those past groups that would win 20 games a season. So I think the first game of the season they might have been a little rusty, and you go up against a team like
So
Stillwater.
uniforms are
that-
rusty colored.
They are rusty colored.
Yep.
But this is more good for Forest Lake, not bad for Stillwater. Nice to see the Rangers improving as the season goes along.
All right, we're going to hand out a couple stars today.
A gold star.
Both are Double A. Yeah, a little gold star action. I'm giving mine to Hayley Hanson. 60 saves and 66 shots. Or
I think it was
60 shots.
62 saves on
68 shots. Yeah, that's an amazing performance.
One of us
against
follows
Andover.
girls hockey.
Sorry, I didn't get the shots and save numbers right. I think that's an unbelievable performance, considering once you go down by 3 or 4 goals, a lot of times there's kind of like this natural give up factor, and she never gave up. So my hat's off to Hayley Hanson. I saw her play this summer over in Richfield. And she was in the same team as Uma Cornier and Sedona Blair. Those 3 goaltenders, no question, the best goalie that day. No one would argue it was Hayley Hanson. Not surprised that she's having a great sophomore year.
Yeah, I saw her when she was in 8th grade. Proctor Hermantown came down for a game, and she had something like 40 saves as an 8th grader. And for a player that is just a sophomore, she might have one of the best resumes or bodies of work of any goaltender in the state. I mean, she might be writing herself into Senior Goaltender of the Year category as a sophomore. So good on Hayley Hanson. My star goes to Emma Connor, who scored
Cinco.
5 goals last night. And she
In a row.
She also didn't do it against Little Sisters of the Poor. She did it against a quality Wayzata team. The score, 7-1, does not indicate how good of a team Wayzata is, but 5 goals for Emma Connor against the Trojans. She now leads the state in goals with 18.
Well, it wouldn't be a girls' hockey show without talking about Andover some more. Andover plays Centennial this week, but we're not going to talk much about Andover. We're going to talk about their head
This is
coach,
all about
Sean
the
Moline.
Cougars.
All right.
It's all about the
They're
Cougars.
putting together a nice season.
They are.
And they have, David Goliath, or what's the female version of that?
It's not David Goliath.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's not David
Andover
Goliath.
is huge. Andover's got 3 great lines. They're the best high school team in the state by far, and they're going to play lowly Centennial.
Yeah,
Why
lowly
is this?
lowly Centennial that just happens to be 6-1.
But why is it such an important game?
Well, it's an important game, and we will expound upon this more on her ice, which we're going to tape.
I was going to get to that in a minute.
4 hours, depending on what time we get this done. But Sean Moline, the head coach of Centennial, is the one, and this is, I said this before, this isn't hyperbole, this isn't pumping Sean's tires. He's the one who molded that Andover group. He had them when they were real young. He was their youth coach, and he sculpted them into the team that they are today.
All at the 12A level, all in the off season. Yep. I mean, he knows almost every one of these players.
And that's not to take
extremely
anything
well
away from the job that Melissa Volk has done with them in high school. She's done an incredible job of getting these players to buy into that system, but still allows them a lot of creativity on the ice. But Sean was there during their grassroots and youth days, and his work with that group should not be understated.
I agree. It should be a fun game to see. I wish we could be there to see that one. 3 o'clock Saturday.
I am a little depressed that I won't be there for that
Centennial
one.
or Andover?
It's at Centennial.
Okay. Well, good luck to both teams. Should be fun. Good luck to Sean.
Might have to farm out some photos over there.
All right. Pro and college. Not much to talk about on the pro scale. That is all over. Right as we were recording the show last week, the bubble popped.
The bubble popped.
It's too bad. They had a little momentum. They had national television coverage. It all kind of went away. Which is
a bubble made out of Swiss cheese, apparently.
Yes, I agree. And then Wisconsin, Minnesota, #1 versus #2 last weekend.
Yep.
Friday night, the Badgers tie the score late and then beat the Gophers in overtime.
Nice.
And then they had a tie on Saturday, 2-2. So you can kind of see. I thought the Badgers were way ahead of the Gophers and Ohio State.
How dare you,
I
sir.
think the gap is a little more narrow than I thought, and I think there'd be 3 WCHA teams in the Final Four this year. That would be my guess.
I wouldn't be upset at that at all.
Okay. Let's move on to game pucks. You said you got one. I got one for sure.
I know you have one for sure. I don't remember mine.
You don't remember yours? Okay,
No.
maybe it'll come to you after I deliver mine.
Probably
Mine's a
not.
kind of an interesting one.
Now
So there's a young woman on 12A Edina named Kate McCoy, spelled with a C. Her dad,
With a C.
Pat, is the head coach. And their grandpa/dad, Jake, passed away this past week. And I've had many good run-ins with Jake McCoy, including at the Dangle Fest 3 weeks ago. I saw Jake. Jake was a former Gopher, played on the same blue line as Lou Nanny. He was a youth coach, both baseball and hockey. I played baseball against him. He coached at the Washburn Gopher Post. He coached Richfield High School with Larry Hendrickson. This is was a living legend, was Jake McCoy. He tutelaged many young men across decades and decades of youth sports, and my game puck goes to Jake and his family and those that are mourning the loss of Jake. And it fits into this girls' show because I wouldn't have seen Jake McCoy 3 weeks ago before he passed if it weren't for the granddaughter Kate's great play at Edina in the Dangle Fest.
Can you think of a badder name than Jake McCoy?
No, it's a tough guy. He was a tough guy.
I bet he would.
He was a tough guy.
Pat McCoy
for sure.
also sounds like someone you wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley.
All right.
All right, my game puck goes out to Taylor Otremba from Lakeville South. Got to see her last night in person. It seems a couple of games ago, maybe the game before last night, she cracked the 100-point mark.
You saw her
for
last
her
night.
career. She'll be going to Minnesota State University Mankato. She is just a junior. Excited to see what she's going to do as a senior.
All right, final take of today's show is if you could.
No boom roasteds?
No boom roasted. I don't have any.
I have a little one.
Oh gosh, here we go.
I have a little one.
You just couldn't, could you?
I would like to compliment everyone at the Burnsville Lakeville South game last night. That was the most consistent mask wearing I've ever seen in the stands.
Okay.
Except for the times that people feel the need to scream at the officials. So they rip the mask off and you and then they put it back on. And then
that's not a holding for you needing interpretation. Not a holding.
And then you put it back on.
I don't know what that last one was.
If it takes you that much time to take it off, scream, and then put it back on, it's probably not worth hollering in the first place.
Agreed. Okay, now can we make our dessert?
Yeah.
All right, if you could make any dessert What would you make, Peter?
I would make a phone call to somebody to deliver me a dessert. I don't like baking. I'm
Really?
bad
You're
at
so
baking.
grumpy today.
I don't like. I'm not grumpy today. I'm
Is it
saying
the
no.
eye patch?
You're saying, oh, having glaucoma at 29? Yeah, it's not.
It's not glaucoma.
It's almost.
It's not.
Almost glaucoma. I don't like to make desserts. My girlfriend is much better at doing that than I am. So I guess if I had to make a dessert, it would be
Come on.
ice cream. The old-fashioned.
Oh, make it.
With
Make
salt
it. That'd
and
be kind of
cream
cool.
and ice, and you sit there and you got to churn it.
Gosh, I did that once. It took
Takes forever.
forever.
Stuff was hard back in the old days.
I know
back
it
when you were a
was.
kid.
I'm going to go with tapioca pudding.
Are you kidding?
Oh, it is so good.
Are you serious?
It's the best dessert. It is so good.
Whatever.
You've ever had
That's
it?
an insult to pudding.
No, it's the best.
Yes, it is. Butterscotch pudding.
Well, that's
is
good. I like that too.
leaps
I
and
like all
bounds
pudding,
ahead of-
but tapioca is my favorite. My
Somebody
mom used to
send
make
me.
it.
Somebody send me a snack pack of butterscotch pudding right
That is really good. I like that too. I like all those choices. All right, a lot of great girls hockey coming up here on the horizon,
Excited. It's going to be a big weekend.
and it's going to be awesome. For Peter Rodney, I'm Tony Scott. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
When you're gonna live your life